Everyone, my name is Grace Cisna. I'm the CPA on staff with ProjectionHub, and today I'm going to take a little time to walk you through our fast casual restaurant template. I am the creator of this template, and I wanted to point out before we begin, if you do download this template, we are available if you need help filling it out or if you need any modifications. I am available to make those modifications for you. So keep in mind as we walk through this walkthrough, if you're seeing anything that doesn't quite fit your business, please reach out to us and let us know, and we can see if we can get this modified to fit your business a little better. Some of the things I wanted to point out before we dive into the template is the way that all of our Excel templates are set up at ProjectionHub is we start with a couple overview tabs on the left that I'll get to at the end. And then these light blue tabs here, and the number of them kind of depends on the template. And these light blue tabs are our input tabs where once you download the template, you'll be inputting your data so that you can output the financial statement. So everything in green after those light blue tabs is going to be our output. And I'll go through what these tabs look like as we get there. But just know that what you have to modify when you download this template is just these tabs right here in light blue, and the areas that you need to edit are going to be designated in this same light blue color. So diving in, the first tab that you need to input something in is going to the Input Assumptions tab. And on this tab, most of the assumptions you input are related to the balance sheets. We've got the company name, the projection start date, investment amounts and the date that those investments are being made, accounts receivable terms, your inventory starting balance, as well as the percentage of inventory you plan to carry at the end of each month. And that's measured as a percentage of next month's sales. So that increases as your sales increase. In addition to those items, we have fixed assets. You can enter up to 6 individual assets, or you can use those as categories and do 6 categories of fixed assets, inputting their value, their purchase date, their life expectancy, and their salvage costs. Those 2 items, life expectancy and salvage cost, will help us calculate the depreciation that's going to show up on the income statement. In addition to fixed assets, we also have 4 boxes down here for individual loans. And just like with fixed assets, all you have to do is enter the loan data here, and we're going to be calculating interest expense as well as the cash flows related to the loans for you. What we're going to look at is the Input Revenue tab. So revenue, food and drink revenue for your restaurant is going to be some function of customer visits. So that's customer visits during a month, and that is in row 29 right here. And we get there by starting with advertising spending and paid customer visits. So that's visits by customers who show up because of some sort of paid advertising, as well as organic visits, customers who show up not because they saw paid advertising, but for some other reason. And that boils down to a number of new customer visits during the month. And in addition to new customer visits, over time, your restaurant will develop what we call regular customers. So people who keep coming back every month because they visited before. So once we have the number of customer visits, both from regular visitors and new visitors, we can calculate out your food and drink revenue based on this box here, which is kind of like your menu. Now you can either enter categories of items or individual items on your menu. You can enter the average price for those items, and then the average number of purchases per person per visit. You'll see in this column, if you add it up, look in the lower right here at your sum in Excel, that's going to tell you how many items each person is purchasing per visit. So right now we have it set to 2, which would about equal 1 food item and 1 drink item. So that seems about right. The model will then calculate your average spend per person per visit on food and drinks, and you'll be able to enter an annual growth rate for that amount to accommodate price changes. The model will then calculate your food and drink revenue based on your number of customer visits and the average spend per customer visit in a month. Beneath food and drink revenue, we've included a box for catering revenue in case that's something that your fast casual restaurant is going to do. And this is relatively easy to calculate. It just starts with the base number of catering orders per month, an average spend per catering order, and there are growth rates for both of those items. Just a really simple calculation to get to our catering revenue. At the bottom here, we'll just sum up the food and drink revenue and the catering revenue to get total revenue. The next tab is our cost of goods sold, or direct costs. Now there are 2 types of direct costs. There are direct materials, so that's the direct food costs, and then direct labor, so the people who are creating the food and serving it. So food costs are relatively easy. We just enable you to make a rough estimate at the top here for both catering revenue and food and drink revenue. We've got that at about 50% right now, but you can adjust it to whatever you would like. And labor follows a bit more of a complex calculation. It's going to ask you how many hours you're open each week, the number of hours extra hours on either side of your openings, as well as an average employee rate, etc. And from there, it's going to calculate out the number of employees you'll have on staff per hour in this row here. And then all the work is done for you to calculate that total labor cost. So you can see here we divide cost of goods sold two ways, both with the revenue lines associated with. And then we divide it between direct materials and direct labor. Either way, we get the same answer for cost of goods sold, and that is pulled forward to the financial statements. The next tab is our input other expenses tab, and this is operating expenses, not including the cost of goods sold and salaries, which are both calculated on different tabs. Other operating expenses such as interest expense, those are calculated as well, just sort of in the behind the scenes part of the model. So in the other expenses tab, you're able to name the different tabs here, or name the different lines of revenue here. You have up to 20. You can pick their category, and the only place that this category matters is on the investor dashboard, which I'll show you at the end. And then you can select if that revenue is fixed or if it's measured as if that expense is fixed or if it's measured as a percentage of revenue. If it's measured as a percentage of revenue, you can choose which type of revenue, whether that's total revenue, the food and drink revenue, or the catering revenue. So a good example of an expense that might be measured as a percentage of revenue would be credit card fees. So those are going to be showing up at some percentage of your total revenue. In this case, we chose 3%. So we select total revenue from the drop down here, and then enter 0.03 for 3%. One common error we see on the templates, if you get to your income statement and some of your expenses look really high, come back and check and make sure that this column here is set to what you want it to be. And if you're using one of these options where it's measuring as a percentage of revenue, so anything besides the fixed option, make sure that you're measuring your percent as 0.03 for 3% instead of 3, because if you enter 3, it's going to assume 300%, and then your expenses are going to look really high. Also on this tab, you're able to determine your effective income tax rate, which is going to measure your income tax based on your your income before taxes. In addition, on this tab, expenses are monthly amounts, so enter the monthly amount. These are broken out in the first year for different month categories so that you can plug in changes for the first year, which tends to be more volatile. After that, in year 2, 3, and 4, and 5, it's just going to use the same amount for every month. The next tab is input salaries or owner draw. Owner draw might also be called dividends. So here you can enter your salaried employees, their job title, their salary, the tax amount, their benefits, their start month, end month, the number of employees. So you can enter duplicate employees by just entering the 2 here, or 3 for 3 employees, etc. And then an annual raise percentage. And then if you plan to pay dividends to shareholders or do any sort of owner draw as the owner, you would enter that down here. So those are all of the input tabs. Our next tab is the first output tab. This is the at-a-glance tab, which has some great charts, graphs, and ratios, which are easy to plug into a pitch deck if you're creating one. So we've got key ratios, your profit and loss at a glance, and then just some charts here, your initial use of funds, the various expenses, sales forecasts, etc. The next 3 tabs are the financial statement summaries. So these are the 5-year summaries for the income statement, the cash flow statement, and the balance sheet summary. As you can see, this is the income statement, the cash flow statement, and the balance sheet. Note these are all calculated by the model, so you don't have to do anything. These are going to be output directly by the model. And the balance sheet, of course, is always going to balance. That's one of the big time consumers. If you do choose to create your own financial projections, it is challenging to get a balance sheet to properly balance without plugging something. Our balance sheet is properly balanced. From there, the next 3 tabs are going to be the full month-to-month amounts for the income statement, the cash flow statement, and the balance sheet statement. The balance sheet. So you can see each of these. We've got 5 years here, every single month for 5 years. And note these are ready to give to a bank or a lender. They're formatted nicely. So those are the financial statements there. The last tab that I'll discuss, we've got some instructions here, which you'll see when you download it. The last tab to discuss is the investor dashboard. So this is a new addition for any of our templates that are in this version 2 or above. And so what the investor dashboard allows you to do, it allows an investor or you or a lender or whoever wants to look at this model, so to create some different scenarios in the model and see how they affect the income statement. So in this model, you can change the number of regular customers occurring each year, as well as some prices and costs. And your changes up there are going to change this modified income statement down here. So you can essentially look at different scenarios and see how that affects your income statement overall, where the original income statement is not going to change. So any changes you make on this investor dashboard don't change the model as a whole. So that make it ideal for comparing different scenarios without changing major parts of the model. So that is a brief overview of our fast casual restaurant template. I hope you found it helpful. If you have questions, please reach out to us at support@projectionhub.com. And again, if you like this template but think it doesn't quite work for you, please reach out to us as well. Modifications are fairly easy for us to make. Again, I created the template and I'd be happy to modify it to fit your business. Thanks for checking it out, and let us know if you have questions.